Welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Crichton, and today I will be continuing with the court hearing with the Ministry of Health and City Med. But this clip is in regards to the Ministry of Health. So this is the actual fifth hearing and the final hearing for this case at this stage, but the case is not actually over. But this is the last court hearing since I had anything to do with this case. So this case was set down for Monday, the 22nd of May 2023 at the High Court. The court taker was Suzanne Knowles, and the judge was, just one moment. Okay, I've got in my diary Justice Belcroft, Andrew Belcroft, but then I've got the judge's judgment, and it says judgment of Belcroft J. Now, these little things are pretty important to mention, because I've been used for some kind of illegal project against my will. So basically it's like I've been an open book, so the opposition has had access, unlawful access without my consent, into everything I'm doing. So I have found a lot of altering, tampering, and just a lot of mix match evidence. In my profile, things that I know I didn't do, or the evidence or my documents are being retyped, because I'm quite efficient. I'm one of these people who likes to proofread. I have my own system where I make sure I don't have, trying to avoid things like spelling errors and corrections, typing errors. So I have a system where I would spell check manually, but I would normally do this about 5 to 6 times for each document. But it's also just to show how serious my case is, because of the access of other people into my personal space. They are altering and tampering, and they are deleting and actually breaking the law. So that's important. What I just mentioned is actually very important, because say if I didn't make it, or I got murdered or something, these are the kind of things the investigators or serious fraud office would go and look into the the victim's personal profile. A legal document is supposed to be accurate 100%. Very rarely they should have any errors or anything, and if there is, the court is supposed to change that and fix that up. We've got a new Crown on site right now. They're new on board in this case. They don't know the background other than whatever they've been told in their own research or investigation upon me and myself and my case. But they haven't been there since 4th of July 2016, when this statement claim against the Ministry of Health and City Med first were lodged, where it first was lodged at the district court, and then it went through all the other senior courts after that. But the Crown for those cases was the councils that submitted the actual application against the judiciary review statement of claim that I had against the Ministry of Health and City Med was Suzanne Shaw and Catherine Craig. However, at this court hearing on the 22nd of May 2023, the actual Crown that was in the hearing was Hannah Reid on behalf of the defendants, which is the Ministry of Health, only in this hearing. So for those that are new on this clip, so far we've had 4 court hearings just for this case on its own, and it's under judicial review. And so far we've had 2 judges, and now we've got another hearing, and this is another judge. So this judge is brand new also on this case. The defendants had submitted so all the other cases derive from the same time I lodged this application at the High Court. I had put in a interlocutory application on notice, and the application notice of application in response to counsel Suzanne Shaw and Catherine Craig's interlocutory application to strike out my judiciary review statement of claims. So the judicial review statement of claim was mainly focusing really on the case that came that was in the courts, that was with the 6 medical practitioners and the Ministry of Health and City Med. So basically I was bringing that case back to active, because as far as I was concerned it hadn't finished, because during all this period of time I hadn't been able to go forward, and the only way I can get or to stop what was going on with me, or even just to advance further, I had to legally have those decisions amended or fixed, because they were unlawful strikes. Crown was were first to put their application to the courts, and the Crown submission basically was focusing on that I was, on the mental health issue, referring that I was mentally impaired. Basically, that was one of the key elements in there, because of, that's the argument that that I have a mental health issue, and that everything I'm saying is not true. However, so they were talking about, they were also focusing on basically just going on about stating to the court that what I was doing was an abuse of the court system. So that was sort of the lines they were kind of focusing on. And then they talked about the misdiagnosis of the pregnancy that was mentioned in there. They were trying to make out that it was false and it wasn't true. They were in support of the misdiagnosis, that it's not true, that the pregnancy test was a blood test, and that it was a mistake, and that it was false. And then they were just going through the procedural background. Then I was able to address all the issues that counsel had addressed the court with, and I was able to back up everything I said with evidence according to the evidence that was submitted to the courts. I also reflected and referred to the statement, the affidavit of service, to prove to the courts that the Ministry of Health were aware of all. They were served by myself personally in regards to these documents. So it was just proof that I had served them, and I did an affidavit of service that they had actually been served. So I reflected back to that bundle of exhibits, because the first judge advised me I had to reserve the Ministry of Health. For those that hasn't watched the other clip, the key chambers refused to have anything to do with the case, and they tried to confuse me, but it's my case and I'm not the type of person that can be easily confused. But that is what they've done, all the trickery in between, playing mind games. But it's all been part of a project, and that's what I have found out historically, that's what they were doing. Key chambers, Paul White, refused to have anything to do with this case, and so he didn't turn up in appearance for the first hearing when it went before court. The Crown also had mentioned about me suing them for $10 million. It was my turn, and so I was able to give the laws that supported for a case like mine with such serious background, because it's fraudulent and it is a conspiracy, and it is very serious indictable cases, or indictable offences it is. The law does clearly state that a organisation or government agencies can be sued up to $10 million. Hence is the reason I had put that there. This has got nothing to do with money. It's my liberty. It's they basically put me through living hell is the word, what they've put me through. They've basically put me through so much. Money could not compensate the years of trauma they have put me through personally. However, that is where I got that $10 million from, because the law clearly says that. So I just had to prove to the court that I'm actually suing the Ministry of Health according to the laws. Now, if it's an individual that I was suing, they would be sued. The law says $500,000. So at this stage, I'm suing the Ministry of Health because it's their members. I also was able to prove to the court, because the evidence clearly stated that the name of the parties is the Ministry of Health, but all the mixed match and all these different people handling it and coming in my space, and it's just all been part of the project, really, trying to cause confusion and basically just mess up the whole case. But to this day, without a shadow of doubt, legally the name of the case is Ministry of Health and City Med. I was also able to address this in court, and where that the Ministry of Health, City Med and the PSA union and the New Zealand Police and IPCA, we're all putting the weight on the employer and blaming the employer. So this was mentioned in there. But I was able to prove to the court, according to the laws, that because all the other stakeholders, because that's what they are, and they all got shares in everything, but according to the laws, they are all separate entity, and they're all dealt with as a separate entity when it comes to things like this. So I was able to prove that to the court according to the law.